News from the street, 919fm.com. Here's what's happening.
Good afternoon. I am Vanessa Thomas with the 12 o'clock news on the street, 919 FM, and online Facebook and YouTube, sponsored by the Sea Champion. In the headlines, Finance Minister Com Imbert to host a virtual news conference today to discuss COVID relief measures. Brian Lara Promenade and other parks and squares closed off to the public. A virologist warns that TNT can lose COVID fight if citizens do not play their part. And internationally, 1 year later, and the Centers for Disease Control confirms that COVID-19 is airborne. And now the news in detail. Trinidad and Tobago continues to record high numbers of COVID infections and deaths, with 8 people passing away from the deadly virus in the last 24 hours. The alarming statistics was released on Sunday afternoon by the Ministry of Health, as this country recorded 233 new positive cases from samples taken during the period May 6th to May 8th. The ministry said the total number of active positive cases now stands at 3,907, while the number of COVID-related deaths stand at 211. Since the pandemic started in March 2020, this country has had 13,355 positive cases, of which 9,237 have recovered. There are 342 patients in hospital, while 3,278 are in home self-isolation. In other news, Finance Minister Com Imbert will host a virtual news conference today to discuss COVID relief measures designed to help those severely impacted by the restrictions announced by the Prime Minister last Friday. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley said Minister Imbert had been requested to see what help government can offer, as the new restrictions were anticipated to cause some lives to be disrupted more than others. However, Dr. Rowley had indicated that the state was not in a financial position to provide the same level of social assistance as it did in 2020 when the first lockdown was triggered. Minister Imbert's media conference is due to start at 1:30 this afternoon. The Port of Spain City Corporation has closed off to the public the Brian Lara Promenade as well as all parks and squares in the capital city, at least until May 23rd. Saturday, the corporation blocked access to the promenade in an attempt to further decrease the spread of the deadly virus. Many people have been seen liming on the promenade and breaking COVID protocols. Port of Spain Mayor Joel Martinez said it was the corporation who agreed to a request from the TTPS to block off the popular liming spot.
I went down to the promenade last night and I saw what was going on myself. I realized that we had no other choice. So the instructions were given out. The municipal police borrowed some barricades from the TTPS, and we got some caution tape and we cordoned off the area.
The mayor said that the public washroom on the promenade remains open, but he is appealing to citizens to stay at home to reduce the spread of the virus.
I want to also echo the sentiments of the Prime Minister by telling the public that they need to adhere to the protocols and to manage this thing properly, because our citizens are dying.
The San Juan Laventil Regional Corporation has also closed off to the public the promenade in San Juan and all its facilities to prevent the spread of COVID-19. As the number of COVID-19 cases and deaths continue to climb, virologist Professor Christopher Ora is warning that if citizens do not play their part in flattening the curve, then this country can possibly lose the fight to the COVID-19 virus, as recently seen in the case of India. The virologist speaking from the UK said, while the health ministry can advise, recommend and mandate certain things, at the end of the day, it is the people who need to follow the rules. He noted that if the people of Trinidad and Tobago do not follow the rules, if they continue to mix households, get up close and congregate, then this virus is going to carry on spreading. So it's a matter of not just the government. The virologist said it is really important now with the number of cases and deaths in TNT that we flatten this peak. There have been 42 deaths for the first 9 days of this month and an overall total of 211 deaths. Finally, on the international scene, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has advised that the COVID-19 virus is airborne. It says the transmission is one of several ways the virus can spread, adding that people more than 6 feet away from others indoors can become infected. Federal health officials revised the coronavirus guidance on Friday to acknowledge that people can get infected by inhaling very fine aerosolized particles carrying the virus. And that was the 12 o'clock news on the street, 919 FM, and online Facebook and YouTube, sponsored by the Sea Champion. Recapping the headlines, Finance Minister Com Imbert to host a virtual conference today to discuss COVID relief measures. The Brian Lara Promenade and other parks and squares closed off to the public. A virologist warns that TNT can lose COVID fight if citizens do not play their part. And internationally, 1 year later, and the Centers for Disease Control confirms that COVID-19 is airborne. Stay tuned for the Playway segment at 12:15. I am Vanessa Thomas. Good afternoon.